everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, I'm the ThesPNation. I'm a luxury beauty YouTuber who reviews luxury beauty all the time. With exception to today. It's been officially 7 months since I've made a video, and that is due to what we talk about in this video. I wanted to just tell you everything, let you know what's going on, how I'm doing. If you did take the time, and I truly appreciate it on behalf of myself and my partner, truly appreciate everyone who has made a donation to our GoFundMe. It's okay to ask for help. That's one thing that I have learned over the past 7 months. But again, thank you so much to everyone who has made a donation, and you're welcome to make a donation if you would like to still do so. I will put in my description box, I will have the GoFundMe link, and I will also have a Cash App link as well if you don't want to use that instead of GoFundMe. So where do we begin? In November, a few weeks had rolled by, and right around Thanksgiving, we went out of town, went to go see the family, and we spent, the weekend with them. And there is when something started to feel a bit strange. And I want to emphasize throughout this video, just keep this in your mind, to always listen to your body. And number two, always ask for help, even if you think you don't need it or you feel like you're too proud to ask for help. Please. Just do it. And number three, never believe that it can't happen to you. I don't want people to ever believe that, because honestly, what I've experienced over the past several months, I never thought this would ever happen to me. So while we were there, there were deer there. It's really beautiful out there. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's in this super small town. And so, it was cold at night. It's in the country, so it's kind of like you can see the stars at night. It's all beautiful and fabulous. And I posted pictures of it on my social media, which I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram at ThesPNation too, then you will know that, that's something that I was doing on a regular basis when I was there, and, talking about how they didn't really have supermarkets. But overall, it was a nice experience. I had a great time there for Thanksgiving. And when we were coming home, I just didn't feel right. I just felt kind of off. Even when I was there and we were walking uphill to go look at deer, and we were leaving the deer because there were like tons of them, like everywhere. I was winded by this. And I mean, I'm not skinny, but at the same time, it's like under normal circumstances, I don't get winded by things like this, because we lived in a 3-story townhome. So if I can go up 3 flights of stairs and not be winded, then, I wouldn't think going up a hill, for maybe 20 seconds is going to wind me. So that was something that I did notice, and I was literally like gasping for air. Your body's telling you something. Pay attention to it. So then we went home, and when we went home, I would walk up the stairs, and I was so winded. I was so winded to the point where the first flight of stairs I had to stop, and I had to wait probably 20 to 30 seconds to go to the second flight of stairs. And then I would wait 20, 30 seconds, go to the third flight of stairs, and I would rush to our master bedroom so that I could just slam myself onto the bed so that I could catch my breath. And I was just like, whoosh, bitch fat. And that's what I was thinking in my mind. I'm like, I need to lose some weight. That's what I was thinking, the whole time. Had no other symptoms. I wasn't coughing, sneezing, sore throat, nothing. There was nothing else wrong with me besides the whole lack of air, really, and just being winded from walking up flights of stairs or up a hill. So we roll into December, and I'm sick. So I start getting a fever that would fluctuate anywhere from, it would be 101 to 103, and it would just go back and forth over a period of a few weeks. And this started right at the, this was right at the end of November, early December. So it started to fluctuate like that. And I felt like trash. I'm gonna try some more NyQuil, I'm gonna try some Dayquil, I'm gonna try some Robitussin, I'm gonna try some Theraflu. I tried everything because I was like, maybe I have the flu, because that's what I was assuming, that I had the flu. Never lost the sense of taste or smell. So then we get to mid-December, a little before mid-December, and we go to an urgent care, because there's no place in Dallas that I could go to actually be tested for COVID, because it was appointment only, and the nearest place was in Fort Worth, and from where we lived at that time, it was maybe 45 minutes away, about an hour away. And so we had to drive all the way to Fort Worth this one place that was able to fit me in that day, because I had to wait like days, some places weeks, to even get a test. And so I needed to have a rapid test done because I'm like, I really think I have COVID. Like, I think I need to be in a hospital possibly. And so I go to the urgent care. They test me. They test me for COVID. They do the rapid test, and they do the test that they actually send off. And it takes a few days for the results. They tested me for the flu. Everything was negative. So the one that came back, they sent me a letter, and it was on like Quest Diagnostics or something like that, and that came back negative. The rapid test immediately was negative. They tested me twice to see if that was a mistake. They were both negative. So I was tested multiple times for COVID at this urgent care facility, and also the flu, and everything was negative. So I was like, okay, I'm in the clear. So I'm like, okay, what is it? So the wasn't a doctor, I don't know if it was an RN, I'm not really sure, but this woman, she decided to do an x-ray. And so she did a chest x-ray, and my chest was like, it just lit up, essentially, which essentially means that I had pneumonia. And I was like, I have pneumonia? And I didn't know, honestly, I'm an intelligent person, but I don't know what pneumonia is. I don't know. So I was like, what's pneumonia? And so she was explaining it, my lungs. And she's like, you have it on both sides. And she was saying it's double pneumonia. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, all you need is a Z-Pack, and you go home, take the Z-Pack, you be all right. I was like, okay. So I take the Z-Pack, and I think everything's perfectly fine. I'm just kind of just taking, what she said. Should have taken it with a grain of salt, but I trusted what she was saying, that once I finished out the Z-Pack, throughout the period of days that it was for, that I would actually come back around, everything would be great. Wrong. So once I finished the Z-Pack, I felt like death. I felt even worse than I felt when I went to urgent care initially. And I don't remember, it gets kind of foggy at this point, because at that time, this was not even a week. It was maybe 5 days. I think the Z-Pack was like 4 or 5 days worth. I told my partner, I said, I think I need to go to the hospital. Like, this is not normal. And so I'm on the top, 3rd floor in bed. I cannot get out of bed. Like, I can barely move. Like, that's the pain. Like, I felt like a 600-pound being was like just sitting on me, and I cannot get up. Like, I've never felt like this before. And so eventually I somehow, some way got up and put on some clothes, which was extremely difficult to do because, like I said, I literally felt like somebody was like just sitting on top of me. I started to walk down the stairs, and I almost fell. I don't know how many times, like, down the stairs, the first flight alone at the top. I almost fell, and luckily, John was there. He saw me because he didn't realize I was coming down the stairs already, and he helped me. He had to literally like hold me as I walked, and I'm bigger than him, so it's like I don't want him to fall. I don't want to fall on him. So, so we made it all the way down to the stairs, made it to the car. I could barely get in the car. And all I remember from that day is I remember them bringing a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. Like, I was so exhausted that I could not carry my own body weight. And they brought me in there. They asked me if I had COVID, and I said I'd just been tested. And then after that, everything's just blank for me. Like, there's this period of time that just escapes my memory. And it was just, from that point, once I got to the hospital, from that point to the next month, everything just went downhill. So as far as what I'm going to discuss with you now is what transpired actually when I got to the hospital, and this was over the course of December to January the first month that I was in the hospital, because this is a period that I don't recall at all. I don't remember anything about this period. So everything that I'm telling you right now, this is from nurses, this is from doctors, this is from my partner telling me everything that transpired. So in this period of time, when I got to the hospital, supposedly, they tested my oxygen levels, and my oxygen was at, I think it was at 60 or 50, maybe somewhere around there. It was really low. And if you don't know about oxygen levels, your oxygen should be at anywhere from 98 to 100, and that's normal. And depending on the hospital, because the hospitals had their own stipulations, they never wanted to drop below 88 or 86. And that was just 2 hospitals that I was in. Anything below that is a cause for concern. Sometimes people who have sleep apnea, when they sleep and then they stop breathing, their oxygen levels will drop, but then they rise again when they actually, come to or whatever. And that was a question too. And then I'll talk about that later. That's completely something else as well. They ran through a number of tests. They tested me for everything. I don't know what they didn't test me for, because when I look at the bills, my bills, I met my deductible for the year from this entire experience. The bill without insurance, okay, the bill is approaching $3 million. And it's crazy to say that out loud, but at the same time, I think of, all the things that they did, and I think of what's even more crazy is that you can actually see on the bill, everything is itemized, so you can see every single thing. So for instance, if a doctor came in the room and asked me how I was doing, that was $2,000. I have it literally sitting here. Like it says like, not doctor's visit, but it says doctor consultation, something like that. And I can recall the day that this took place and charge $2,000, and he didn't do anything. Like this one doctor, he would come in and he would say, "How are you doing, sir?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm okay, I guess." And he's like, "Okay, keep up the good work." And he would leave. And that was $2,000. Like, there's something very wrong with our system in America. Anyway, let me stay on subject here. I have an outline that I'm actually referring to because this is a lot of information. So back to tests. I was tested for everything because they could not figure out what was going on with me, because I wasn't testing positive for COVID, which is what honestly every doctor was hoping, because they couldn't figure it out, because they originally had me in a COVID ICU as well. When I got to the hospital, they put me in a COVID ICU. I eventually transitioned over to a normal ICU. But they were hoping that it was COVID because they couldn't figure it out. So, they're testing me they're like trying to see if there's some mass in my body. They're trying to see, they did CT scans. They did, They gave me countless drugs. And that led to a lot of issues, and certain drugs that my body just rejected, didn't like. Some things I guess I was allergic to that I didn't know I was allergic to, just because I'd never been in a hospital in that type of situation where I'm taking all these things. I was on fentanyl. If I look at the bills, I have so many notes of me taking fentanyl and how much it costs. There's one of them that's like $10,000-$12,000 for just the fentanyl. And this is multiple times. This isn't just, one 12,000. No, it's like multiples. And so there was fentanyl, morphine. I was on everything, and it fucked me up. It messed with my head a lot. And being someone who actually is bipolar, to take drugs that can induce hallucinations, it was bad, y'all. It was all bad. There was no silver lining. it was pretty awful. And in that first month, as far as what I don't remember, I did code on one occasion. I coded on New Year's Eve, um, and because John was telling me the nurses, they were praying over my body, they were praying, and there was this one nurse who supposedly was like, "You need to make a decision. Well, I don't think he's going to survive this. He's not going to make it." So he's being told this. We've been together for 8 years, and he's being told all this information. He has to make decisions, and he's like, I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray that he survives, and he's going to get through this, and we're going to get through this. And like, the nurses would take him to lunch, and because I'm very, very protective of him, so I was really appreciative to hear that. They would take him, they would eat lunch with him, they would talk to him, they would pray with him. Except for that one bitch, that one nurse who was just very rude, who I have every intention of going to see. I don't want to talk to her. So on New Year's, they were celebrating with me while I was, out like a light. And when I say I was out like a light, yeah, they had put me into a coma. So I was in a coma for over a month. And so, because I was on 100% oxygen, so they were like pumping like 100% of oxygen into me. And supposedly on New Year's Eve, like I said, I had coded. And, they were like trying to bring me back. And he's standing right there, and he had like I think he said like he had like a glass, for New Year's Eve, because it was like a blessing that I was even still alive at that point. And then I coded. Could you imagine? Like, I can't even wrap my head around that. But they brought me back, as you can see. They brought me back, and the only thing that I remember is, as far as that period of time, I had woken up, and what I remember, to be completely honest with you, all I remember is that I woke up looking around the room. John was in the room, and he was, surprised that I was awake. And I looked at him and I was like, what's going on? And I was just so confused. And John tries to avoid the obvious. So he tried to talk to me like everything was normal. He was just, doing his best. Everyone deals with trauma, things like this differently. But he was telling me, like, I was looking at the TV. I looked at the TV screen, and then I see people running into the Capitol building, something about Trump, and something about insurrection, and impeachment, and I was just like, what? Like, I thought I was watching a movie. Like, that's how confused I was. Like, I didn't even know what was happening. So I literally slept through, like, all of this. So everything that took place, like, I woke up, like, right at the time of the taking over of the Capitol building. And I thought it wasn't real because, honestly, the only thing I could think of was that when I was in the room, I was sitting there thinking that, and don't even pay attention to what I'm saying, I was convinced that I was Dinah Washington's son, and I was trying to find her shoes that she left me in the will. I don't know. Don't ask me. This is my memory. And I honestly thought that we were in Japan, and we had been in a plane crash, and we had a Japanese baby who died. That's how far my hallucinations were. And I was seeing dragons and mountains outside of the window. I thought we were in a completely different part of the world. And I'm like, we're in Dallas. Like, we never left. And I swear to you, I really thought that that's what had happened. And it was strange. Like, I was seeing dragons on the walls and all these shapes. And I thought it was some type of, like, therapy in the hospital. I thought it was some type of light show. But none of this was really happening. Because I was literally, like, looking at stuff like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is really keeping me calm. And I'm like, it's the morphine, it's the fentanyl, it's, other drugs that they were pumping into me the whole time. But all this was happening, and then I noticed my hands weren't moving. And then I noticed my legs are moving, but not really. Like barely moving. And so I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, I'm paralyzed. I'm like, what the fuck happened to me? And so I'm dealing with that, dealing with this insurrection thing, dealing with John over here, dealing with what happened to all my bills. And all John kept saying was that everything was going to be okay. And I just sat there like, I had no idea what was going on. And I just kept hallucinating the whole time. And it was terrifying, very scary. I couldn't move. I could barely speak. And things just progressively got worse. And especially I couldn't really talk because of the oxygen mask that was, just embedded on my face, and it's pumping like 90% oxygen, 100% oxygen. Consistently, because I could not breathe on my own. If I tried to breathe on my own, I probably would have died. So it was a very scary time. And honestly, I had looked at myself one night watching some infomercials at like 3, 4 in the morning, and I said, is this it? Is this really it? Like, am I going to die? Like, you've got to be shitting me. And then he said to me, he died.